Unbelievable trying to get this connected. Hello my baby gorillas, and I'm telling you, they're mucking about with us here. It's unbelievable trying to get the thing connected. Unbelievable. Sorry for keeping you, but I've been here for about 20 minutes trying to actually just get the camera on. There has to be a change in the camera. That's next. We've got a fantastic setup just now with me imposed in the video. Absolutely brilliant. The green screen's looking fantastic, but we need to get another camera to make sure that we can live stream uninterrupted, because this is not ideal, and it's stuttering in the middle of things, and no, it's not good at all. So what have we got to talk about? I don't know if this is going to work. So, right, let's crack on then. So, what have I titled this? I've even forgotten what I've titled this. Which of the current 29 is there 29? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 and the independent. So 25, not 29. So these are parties that have stood at the Scottish election, and I thought we would just go through them and why I'm not voting, why I would vote for somebody and not vote for somebody else, and who ultimately is the person that I would vote for from a political party point of view. Now, we've got different elections, so from local elections to Scottish elections to Westminster elections. We have this separation of different parts of the state, and other political parties differ in how they approach that, as well as European elections, because don't forget we've got political parties who want to remain or rejoin. So because I'm an anti-globalist, and I don't believe in the WEF, and I don't believe in the mission statements that have been put out, I reject, and that's the highest level, I reject any party that simps or is pro-globalist, and that means joining, rejoining, or open borders, anything that the WEF wants to do, including forced vaccinations, I would be against. So any party that simps or is seen to be simping for the WEF or any globalist shell organisation, I would reject out of hand. So on that basis, I would reject, and I hope you guys have seen this. Let's make sure you guys are all seeing this and it's coming through okay before I crack on any further. Oh, let's see Rotten Politics first. Well, let's just make sure we're coming through first, and then we'll go into Rotten Politics. Rotten Politics has come across very well as well. Oh my goodness. So I didn't go over this, so I think we'll go over this. So I've got so much to talk to you guys about. Oh, here we go.
This vault is home to memories.
Very well as well. Oh my goodness. So I didn't go over this, so I think we'll go over this. So
let me just turn this up.
To you guys about.
Let me turn this up.
Seems to be working, guys. Seems to be working.
This vault is home.
So turn this right up.
Very well as well. Oh my goodness. So I didn't go over this, so I think we'll go over this. So
let me just turn this up.
To you guys about.
Let me turn this up.
Is that better? Is that coming across louder? Seems to be working, guys. Seems to be working. Have I turned it up a bit louder?
Vault is home
So
to
turn
memory.
this right up.
Very well as well. Oh my goodness. So I didn't go over this.
That's good. An echo inside an echo inside an echo. Right, that's enough. At least we're coming across loud and clear, one thinks. So, I don't know if there's volume here. Let's stop mucking about with it. So let's go and see the guys in trigonometry. And this is probably the most incredible piece of fortuitousness in an interview that you could possibly get. So I'm going to talk you through this because this is unbelievable. Well, this is a full interview. I don't really want the full interview. Right.
Your capacity.
No. So Sam Harris was on this thing called the dark web. Now, actually, I like Sam Harris as well.
Listen, I don't.
So I like Sam Harris from the point of view I'm an atheist as well, and that I've admired Sam's speeches. He's possibly not as good as what's his face, Christopher Hitchens, but he's certainly of an intellect. But this was sort of mind blowing. This shows the arrogance of people, and I don't think Sam's alone. I think this encapsulates the arrogance of people who have this Trump derangement syndrome, where they feel morally justified in any actions that they take, whether they be legal or illegal, to do anything that they desire to prevent the democratic election of a president of the United States. And that resulted in the 2000 Mules allegations, where there was people stuffing ballot papers into these newly promoted drop boxes through Zuckerberg, who had organised something for £400 million, and that should be looked into. And they were stuffing these ballot papers into the drop boxes, and all these ballot papers were coming back and they were only for Biden. And now we've got a senile geriatric who's not up to leading the free world in charge, who looks like he's got corruption allegations to answer, and he's requiring a senility check. And now we've got somebody who's probably even less competent as the vice chairman, but because she's a black woman that she's been selected. It's not because she's competent, which she certainly doesn't appear to be, or liked for that matter. And now we've got Sam Harris, who I liked as well, personifying the arrogance of the self-entitled, that this is the personification of the technocrats.
Care what's in Hunter Biden's life. I mean, Hunter Biden, at that point, Hunter Biden.
So the globalists, and don't forget the majority of the United States media are actually run by six people. Six people own the vast majority of the media. So it's an oligopoly. And when things like InfoWars does so well, then they try and kill InfoWars, and then they're trying to politically kill, metaphorically speaking, Donald Trump. And these people are so arrogant and so corrupt that they've convinced themselves that they're somehow entitled to not go against the will of the American people or democracy as a whole.
And literally could have had the corpses of children in his basement.
Now, that's the most disgusting thing I've heard. I say arrogant things. Well, Hunter Biden had a few questions that seem unanswered by a politicised and almost Stasi-like FBI.
I would not have cared.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Right? It's like there's nothing. First of all, it's Hunter Biden, right? It's not Joe Biden.
So the corruption allegations was that Joe Biden was taking money from the Chinese Communist Party, corrupting the political process and giving it to his father, which means that Joe Biden is a corrupt politician on the take, which, as far as I'm aware, is illegal. That's bigger than the Watergate scandal, not to mention the fact that the FBI were also bugging Trump's campaign before that. Apparently through Obama, and bugging Trump's campaign.
But even if whatever scope of Joe Biden's corruption is,
right, so we're admitting that Joe Biden is corrupt. So I think that is a sackable and impeachable offence, is it not? Not to mention the question marks over the actual rigged election with the 2,000 mules, which there's major question marks about. But these people are so arrogant, they feel so entitled and justified.
like if we could just go down that rabbit hole endlessly and understand that he's getting kickbacks from Hunter Biden's deals in Ukraine or wherever.
Well, that means he shouldn't be in office. That means he should be in jail.
Or else, right? Or China.
China. So China, he is effectively the Manchurian candidate.
Welcome, my name is Lisa, and now I'm going to talk about the Manchurian Candidate. During the Korean War in 1952, the Soviets and Chinese capture a U.S. Army platoon and take the men to Manchuria in Communist China. 3 days later, Staff Sergeant Raymond Shaw, Lawrence Harvey, and Captain Bennett Marco, Frank Sinatra, return to UN lines. Upon Marco's recommendation, Shaw is awarded the Medal of Honor for saving their lives in combat. Shaw returns to the United States to a hero's welcome, where he is exploited by his ambitious mother, Mrs. Eleanor Island Angela Lansbury, to further her husband Shaw's stepfather, U.S. Senator John Yerkes Island's James Gregory, political career. When asked to describe him, Marco and the other soldiers automatically respond that Raymond Shaw is the kindest, bravest, warmest, most wonderful human being I've ever known in my life. In fact, Shaw is a cold, sad, unsympathetic loner. In the following years, Marco, since promoted to major and assigned to Army intelligence, suffers from a recurring nightmare. In it, a hypnotized Shaw blithely and brutally murders the two missing soldiers before an assembly of military leaders from the communist nations, during a practical demonstration of a revolutionary brainwashing technique. Marco is compelled to investigate, but with no solid evidence to back his claims, fails to receive his superior's support. However, Marco learns that another soldier from the platoon, Alan Melvin James Edwards, has had the same nightmare. When Melvin and Marco separately identify photos of the same two men from their dreams who are leading figures in communist governments, Army intelligence agrees to help Marco investigate. Meanwhile, Eleanor drives the ascension of Islam, a McCarthy-like demagogue stirring domestic turmoil and climbing the political ladder based on claims that constantly varying numbers of communists work within the Department of Defense. The Islins eventually decide on the number 57 after looking at a bottle of ketchup. Shah, who broke with his mother and stepfather immediately upon his return to America, is gradually revealed to have been programmed by Russian and Chinese communists as a sleeper agent who will blindly obey orders without any memory of his actions. His heroism was a false memory implanted in the platoon during their brainwashing in Manchuria. His programming is triggered by seeing the Queen of Diamonds card while playing solitaire after being induced by his handlers. Several years pass before Shah finds happiness when he rekindles a youthful romance with Jocelyn Jordan, Leslie Parrish, the daughter of Liberal Senator Thomas Jordan, John McGivor, one of his stepfather's political rivals. Mrs. Islin had previously broken up the relationship, but now facilitates the couple's reunion to garner Jordan's support for Islin's bid for the vice presidency. Although pleased with the match, Jordan states he will block all of Islin's to seek their party's nomination. Jocelyn, wearing a Queen of Diamonds costume at a party for her thrown by the Islins, inadvertently triggers Shah's programming and elopes with him. In response to the senator's rebuff, Mrs. Islin, who is revealed to be Shah's American handler, triggers him to kill Jordan at his home, killing Jocelyn as well when she enters the scene. Afterwards, Shah has no knowledge of his actions and is grief-stricken upon learning of the murders. Eventually discovering the card's role in Shah's conditioning, Marco uses a forced deck in an attempt to deprogram him and reveal his next assignment, which appears imminent. Mrs. Islin primes her son to assassinate their party's presidential nominee at the height of the ongoing political convention so that Senator Islin, as the vice presidential candidate, will become the nominee by default. In the uproar, he will immediately seek emergency powers that when elected will, in Mrs. Islin's words, make martial law seem like anarchy. Mrs. Islin tells Shah that while she had requested a programmed assassin for the task, she never knew it would be her own son, who was selected by the communists in order to bind her more closely to their cause. Kissing Shah on the lips, she vows that once in power she will exact revenge for her son's selection as an assassin. Shah enters the convention hall disguised as a priest and takes up a sniper's position high in its farthest reaches. Alarmed by Shah's failure to call by the appointed time, Marco and his supervisor, Colonel Milt Douglas Henderson, race to the hall to find and stop him. When the moment to shoot comes, Shah instead kills his mother and Senator Islin. When Marco arrives an instant later, Shah tells him he failed to call to prevent anyone from interfering with his change in plans and explains that the army could not have stopped them. Shah then fatally turns the rifle on himself. Marco looks on in shock. In an epilogue, Marco and Eugenie privately mourn Shah's death. Marco reads citations for 2 Medal of Honor winners, and composes his own MW parser output. Template quote overflow, hidden, margin, 1M0, padding, 040px MW parser output. Template quote sight line height, 1.5M, text align, left, padding left, 1.6M, margin top, 0 made to commit acts too unspeakable to be cited here by an enemy who had captured his mind and his soul. He freed himself at last and in the end, heroically and unhesitatingly gave his life to save his country. Raymond Shaw. Marco begins to weep as the scene closes. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget.
So, we've got Joe Biden as the Manchurian candidate.
It is infinitesimal compared to the corruption we know Trump is involved in. It's like it.
So, apparently, Trump did something about setting up a university, and the people didn't enjoy the course, and he paid them back because there was issues with the course. that doesn't seem even on the same ballpark as what Biden is doing by getting paid off and corrupted by other countries.
It's like a firefly to the sun, right? I mean, like
Constantine's face. I smell shite.
there's just it doesn't.
And I think we're all sad about what he's saying here, because I think everybody liked him, but this is, I mean, delusional in what he's saying.
Doesn't even stack up against Trump University, right? Trump University as a story is worse than anything that could be in Hunter Biden's laptop.
No, it's not. No, it's definitely not. And I think Trump paid people back as well for the university thing. So, and that, to me, that's like a failed business venture. That is like somebody who tried to do something that didn't quite work out, and they eventually paid it back. I don't know what his finances were like at that time, but he's then paid the people back. That's not the same thing as getting corrupted as an elected member of the Congress to be corrupted. That's not even similar. And now the fact that Sam Harris doesn't understand that is staggering to me, and shows the element of disconnect that these people have got just now.
In my view, right? Now that doesn't answer the people who say it's still completely unfair to not have looked at the laptop in a timely way. And
even though there's a good chance that Biden cheated and corrupted the process anyway, even with the corruption, he may have lost from people actually knowing that there were stacks to the big guy and being given by other countries, which is, as far as I know, a criminal offence.
To have shut down the New York Post's Twitter account.
Oh, well, that's fine. So he shut down Donald Trump's Twitter account. They shut down the Post's Twitter account. They basically denied access to information from the electorate deliberately about a corrupt politician. And you think that's comparable to the university scandal, where people, I think, weren't happy about the course and then eventually got refunded? That's not even comparable.
Like that's just a conspiracy. That's a left-wing conspiracy to deny the presidency to Donald Trump.
Yeah, that's right. And not to mention the fact that there was riots from neo-communist groups, Antifa and BLM. Antifa, anarcho-syndicalists, anarcho-communists, and BLM, actual Marxists.
Absolutely it was. Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely was. So I was right as usual. So I was right, and this was a complete corruption of the political process. And you find it acceptable? Because obviously Trump was one of the most successful politicians so far in my lifetime. Ronald Reagan is slightly comparable, because obviously different times, but Ronald Reagan was comparable probably to Trump. But certainly the best politician I've seen in office in America. And yet the arrogance of these individuals, the delusion and arrogance of these... Think of the disaster that Biden, who's obviously going senile, who should be getting tested, is done in office.
Right, but I think it was warranted.
In 2 years.
Right, and again, it's a coin toss as to whether or not... But I think it was warranted. Right, and again, the presidency to Donald Trump. Absolutely it was. Absolutely. Right, but I think it was warranted. Right.
So he thinks it was warranted cheating, not giving the voters the correct information about a potentially corrupt politician, i.e. Biden. And he thinks it's warranted. And this just shows you the arrogance of these individuals.
And again, it's a coin toss as to whether or not
Sam, I'm sorry.
that particular piece
I'm really sorry. I was the one that said we should move on, but you've just said something I really struggle with.
Hey, well done, Constantine. Yes. And anybody with half a brain would struggle with that. Constantine's a very intelligent guy, but yes, that's right.
Which is...
The kids in the basement?
Well, that's disgusting in itself. Don't get me wrong. I say edgy things as well. But I mean, that if you were being literal at that point, that you think that anything that Donald Trump has done would warrant the fact that hiding if Biden's son had kids in the basement. I mean, really?
Fuck the kids in the basement.
They probably have.
I'm interested in democracy. You're saying you are content with a left-wing conspiracy to prevent somebody being democratically re-elected as...
Because they're anti-democratic. A lot of these people are communists and anti-democratic. I'm surprised you don't know this. What do you think the EU was? It's an undemocratic 20 unelected commissioners dictating legislation.
President.
Well, no, I'm content. Well, but the thing is, it's just not left-wing, right? So Liz Cheney is not left-wing, right?
But it's a globalist shill for all the globalists who manipulate the left-wing Marxists, because the left-wing Marxists think that the move towards a global technocracy is going to bring in communism when it's going to bring in autocratic corporatism.
Liz Cheney is doing everything in her power
to prevent somebody being democratically elected.
But there's nothing conspiracy. It's not. It was a conspiracy out in the open. It does.
Oh, it was an acceptable conspiracy. It's just like acceptable racism, like critical racism when we do it. That's acceptable. It's acceptable sexism when we do it. And then we'll ban you and criminalise you if you respond to it.
But it doesn't matter if it doesn't matter what part's conspiracy, what part's out in the open. I mean, I think it's like if people get together and talk about what should we do about this phenomenon. You know, if there was an asteroid hurtling toward Earth, and we got in a room together with all of our friends and had a conversation about what we could do to deflect its course.
I mean, he's just havering here. He's just said he finds it acceptable to corrupt the political process if he doesn't like the political candidate standing. That's what he said. And I don't think he's alone in that. There is an anti-democratic presence in the United States that's trying to destroy America.
Right. Is that
and they think they're morally justified. They think they've decided that they're on the moral high ground.
Conspiracy? You know, like some of that conversation would be in public, some of it would be in private. We have a massive problem. We have an existential threat, right? Politically speaking, I consider Trump an existential threat to our...
On what grounds? So you've decided. Who the fuck are you? On what grounds have you decided that he's an existential threat? And why do you think that you're that big-brained an individual that you get to dictate what the rest of us think or believe? You've just decided that he's an existential threat on zero evidence. And then you think it's okay for you to be justified to corrupt the political process?
Our democracy, right? Now, he's not going to destroy the world.
Exactly. In fact, I would have said he was bringing peace in the Middle East, which was great. Well, I've got a lot of friends in the Middle East. It was Putin wouldn't have invaded Ukraine. So all of the things that the globalists have done, the food production, they're attacking the food production for us as well, the global supply chains, all of the things that's going to make our life harder.
Very likely.
These are the arrogant individuals who are doing it.
Destroy democracy in the process of protecting democracy.
No, but that doesn't destroy... No.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. You've decided that you know best, that you're intellectually superior to everybody else, and that you've decided that you don't want Trump, and I'll subvert information, I'll subvert the political process, and it's justified because I think he's an existential threat, and I'm morally and mentally superior to you to actually prepared to do this. You have subverted democracy. And it's not just Sam Harris. This goes across many people that think like Sam Harris. These are arrogant, fascistic, and certainly authoritarian individuals who think they're better than intellectually better than everybody else.
Hunter Biden literally could have had the corpses of children in his basement. I would not have cared.
Wow. What you guys saying? Oh, we're all here. How's it going? How John? How you doing, brother? Alright, Rick Tang, out sound, Rick Tang. That old good tune in the background. The video is in the meadows was a bit windy. Yeah, it was, buddy. I usually have a mic, an external mic that takes out some of the blowy, but yeah, it was, mate. And yet the microphone is one of my favourites from anyone on the internet, sir. Thank you, John, that's very kind. I haven't seen the movie. The microphone is one of my favourites from anyone in the internet, sir. Yeah, it's great, mate. I hope you're enjoying this new sort of look as well. This is hopefully going to improve. We're just going to keep getting better and better. I might actually get a virtual studio for you guys as well. It's got to be Sinatra in it, yeah. Is he a commie? No, he's corrupted by commies. He's corrupted by commies. That's he's just a corrupt politician. The Manchurian candidate, but there are people who are communist adjacent and who have been corrupted by the Communist Party in America now. How can you know, like Papa Trumpo, exactly, buy a large mansion, buy large mansions? Yeah, that's that. BLM Trump 2024. The Great White Hope. I think DeSantis is amazing too. Yeah, I think I've already said that I believe that the ticket is going to be Trump DeSantis. And DeSantis, there's no point in DeSantis running against Trump, because he's going to get 4 years as a vice president and then potentially 8 as the president. So he'll get 12 years in office. If he was to go against Trump, and Trump beat him, so he's not probably going to get picked as the vice president, so he's going to miss out that 4 years of political power, and it would be a lead-in for him to become president. He probably won't beat Trump, and he's got another, then he might have a bit of difficulty for the other 8. This is a natural lead-in, 4 years of vice president, and then 8 years in office for backing Trump. It's pointless him going against Trump, and I believe the deal's done already. There should also be a position for Ron Paul. Is that right? Ron Paul as well, and he will actually hopefully cut a lot of the burdening size of the state as well. So Trump should put him in as a libertarian in somewhere where he could cut red tape and also the size of the American government. Pete Buttcheeks. What's the guy all about with Pete Buttcheeks? Anyone, what are you saying? What's the guy? Someone would study the Sam Harris analysis here. This is wild, yeah, totally wild. The EU is beta, totally, mate. The EU is beta. I would vote for the asteroid. His analog is wrong, and now he is talking about asteroids. Wow, great, mate. Well done, Sam. Yeah, no. Sometimes people can say things that they might not have said otherwise. Unfortunately, I think Sam Harris did actually mean that. He means what he said, and I don't think he's alone in saying that. Arrogant intellectuals, yeah, that's right, and they're technocrats. They think they're so much smarter than the average bear. The new look is better, mate. Is a better belting, mate. Belting, that's great. That's great. I'm loving it as well, mate. I like it too. Thanks, Mariam. Nice to see you. And Robert Marshall, probably holidays on Epstein's Island. Right, let's go. Let's keep going. I'll keep that up. What was that? Oh, here we go. Rotten Politics. Subscribe to Rotten Politics if you've not subscribed.
These amazing LED light bars bring any dark space to life and cost just $40. No wires, holes, or drilling needed. Just peel off the adhesive backing and place them on any surface.
It's quite
They're
good.
motion activated, so you can
buy that later. Quite liked it.
And I do believe that we have rotten politics. No, I'm not using that as an exaggeration.
Hey everyone and welcome. The World Economic Forum have announced it's recruited hundreds of thousands of information warriors to control the internet, policing social media and forums.
Hey, Dr. Evil there. Another German megalomaniac. I want to rule the world. I want to rule the world.
And conspiracy content, which will then be systematically shut down. According to Klaus Schwab, misinformation on the internet is an infodemic. Why anyone listens to this evil man, I'll never know. But is potentially deadly and requires we're ready for this, cure. And the cure is silencing anyone that disagrees with them, isn't it? It's going to be that, isn't it? The definition of misinformation, according to the World Economic Forum,
it's anything they don't like.
Is anything they disagree with. So this means that the information warriors will essentially be engaged in the act of shutting down opposing voices. How is this not authoritarianism, everyone?
It certainly is. Well, you've got to remember that the move towards a technocratic one world government and one world state where they're not elected, it's a technocracy, and you'll serve the technocracy like little ants. You won't be getting to vote. These guys are big-brained individuals. You don't get to tell these guys what to think or what to say. You're just one of the plebs.
It's not dictatorships by a unelected bureaucratic tosspot. If you're wondering who it's targeting, it's going to be targeting conspiracy forums, any forums to be honest, and YouTube comment sections, along with all of the other social medias, and they're being targeted by the digital first responders, as they actually term these people, the information warriors, the professional grasses, who pretend to be ordinary users on the platform but are actually working to disrupt proceedings and support the ideology of Klaus Schwab's World Economic Forum. Now, this was announced on the World Economic Forum's podcast as UN Communications Director Melissa Flynn.
Another undemocratic institution, UN, which we nippies wholesale imported the legislation into Scots law.
Being said, so far we've recruited 110,000 information volunteers, and we equip these information volunteers with the kind of knowledge about how misinformation spreads and ask them to serve as a kind of digital first responders. In other words, in layman's terms, snitches and frigging grasses in those spaces where misinformation travels. So we're going to have an army of 110,000 strong grasses roaming about the internet like wild packs of dogs. Am I wrong on this? This is a disgrace. And
where's he getting the money from?
In my opinion, the New World Order and WEF can get stuffed. Absolute joke, this, in my opinion. But what do you think? Do you think these information warriors are not just grasses? Do you think that...
Well, I think they're more dangerous than that. This is 1984, played out on a global scale.
Something needs to be done about the World Economic Forum. Let's not forget, no one voted for these fraggles, and yet they're able to control so much. I think it's time we need to start fighting back, everyone. Let's show the World Economic Forum that we're not pushovers, we're not useless, and we'll show them that we're not useless. But what say you? I'd like to know your opinion. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit the like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon. Feck the New World Order. Stay sane, I'll see you on the next one.
Brilliant. From Rotten Politics. I should have got him up before this, but fantastic. Let's see what horsey face Jacinda Ardern down in polls at last. Says
I think it's a great idea. House sitters get somewhere to stay, and we, the house owners, get somewhere.
Local poll results. New Zealand's Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern is on course for a historic election victory. According to a poll, Ardern's Labour Party is set to win the national elections on the 17th of October. A News Hub research poll showed that Ardern has got over 50.
Oh, that's not good. I thought she was down the polls. Oh, that's a year ago. That's a year ago. Ah, I see. Let's see if we can do it up to date. National. This is what I want to do. A wee studio like this. National Down Leeds polls, political polls. Here we go. 3 months. Let's see what this is saying.
The National fell 37%, but still conducts 33% work in the last political survey.
I don't know what the hell's that. 6 months. Jacinda Ardern, Sky Australia. Here we go, Sky Australia.
Trip to the USA,
I love her.
where
She's
the
great. She's fantastic.
Donald reigns supreme, and poor old bumbling Joe Biden, well, he's back at the beach house. Meanwhile, Jacinda Ardern is in all sorts of trouble in New Zealand. Joining me now to discuss the latest...
Don't forget, her and Turdo are shills for the WEF as well, so they're in bed with Dr. Evil as well.
International news is Sky News contributor Kosha Gator. Kosha, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Before we get into the latest from the US and China, let's go across the ditch to New Zealand and the darling of the left, the queen of performative caring, Jacinda Ardern. She's in a little bit of trouble. There are all sorts of allegations of bullying, a dramatic drop in poll numbers showing New Zealanders are perhaps, I don't know, finally waking up to the fact that she's all style and little substance.
This is another example of, I think, sometimes the shine wears off if there's a little bit more fluff and celebrity, essentially, to these leaders, and not much else. You saw similar things with Kamala Harris, for example.
Justin Trudeau.
Where she also had allegations of bullying and staff leaving, and even outside the political arena with like Meghan Markle and examples like that. So, I think at some point when the system believes that the usefulness of some of these leaders is maybe reaching their expiry point, I wouldn't be surprised to see these kinds of stories come out.
Well, I am a little bit surprised only because anytime I've been to New Zealand, I've noticed just how glowing the media coverage is of Jacinda Ardern. There's
her name's Horseyface.
Hardly any criticism from that local media. And she has also had the international adulation as well. And very...
I know, we don't like her. She's called Horseyface over here.
Little in the way of...
She's called the WEF shill from down under.
Opposition. So she's had a fairly golden run. But if these poll numbers are accurate, she's in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, and I think, sometimes with people from the left of the aisle, since the media is very friendly with them, they often can lose touch with reality. And then when things get too bad on the ground, like beyond the point of being able to deny them, and we're seeing this with the economy and inflation and all sorts of issues around the world, then sometimes it's a little bit of a shock to them because they're used to very friendly media, and then when that hits them.
There she is. The feminist in the headscarf. Shut up and do my abortion.
It's something tricky for them to handle. So yeah, I think
let's let that face. Leads punch.
She might be getting a little bit of a reality check, and
so Islam slaps my bitch up.
If the poll numbers reflect the
no substance
feelings of the citizens on the ground, then she's going to have to either pivot, and if she can't, she might find herself facing some competition from somebody who's willing to.
Oh,
plain and simple.
Right, that's funny. That's so funny that. Hummers on Morris dancing, but dressed like Justin Trudeau. That blackface. He's always in that blackface. No, Ricky. She's might be fetlock. Might be a fetlock. Justin Trudeau is absolutely horrific. Yeah, they're all WAF shills. Cut about with a massive chinglets at the front for teeth. she looks like Sherga. Oh dear, it's so funny. I'm not reading the rest of that. You guys are too funny, so I'll be laughing too much. Right, so there's Janaya English. Janaya English, lovely girl. She's a lawyer and also a great journalist. And she was blocked. So Amanda Chatterton, leader of Oldham Council, who allowed, look at this, state of this, allowed the children to be raped by the Muslim rape gangs, Muslim child rape gangs, attempted to play down the devastating effect of the council and Greater Manchester Police covering up the Muslim child rape gangs and trafficking of children by saying, she says, it destroyed, you can't say it destroyed their lives because people I spoke to, it hasn't.
Since the publication of that report 2 weeks ago, I spoke to a number of victims and they came forward and ran me that week. The victims that were referenced in the...
This is the Labour Party that's now got a member of the child rapist death cult as a leader in Scotland.
Report, but also other victims of CSE in Oldham, and speaking to those people and how it has affected their lives, and they were... You can't say it's destroyed their lives, because the people I spoke to, it hasn't, but it has had an impact into adulthood. Since the publication of that report 2 weeks ago, I spoke to a number...
I mean, the Labour Party are just full of scum. It's just scum in the Labour Party.
Victims, they came forward and ran me that week. The victims that were referenced in the report, but also other victims of CSE in Oldham, and speaking to those people and how it has affected their lives, and they were... You can't say it's destroyed their lives, because the people I spoke to, it hasn't, but it has had an impact into adulthood.
Absolutely disgusting. I don't know if Janaya has got anything else on it. After the meeting in which the leader of Oldham said that the Muslim child rape gangs and child trafficking hasn't ruined their lives, Greater Manchester Police and Oldham Police banned residents from further meetings, reporting them to the police and threatening them with injunctions.
Hey guys, so before I start the video, I just want to say that I now have a new website called beyondthepowers.co.uk. It focuses on policing, human rights law and law in general. I post articles on there, I post videos on there, and if you want to support that in any way, or the work on this channel where I do interviews and things like that, you can do so by making a one-off donation to PayPal, or a more regular donation through also PayPal and Subscribestar and Patreon. And if you want to follow me on social media, the links to that are below as well. Basically, everything's in the description. So yeah, thank you for watching and thank you for checking out the website, and I hope you enjoy. Hey guys, so today we're going to talk about some events.
I think she's great. I think she's a great journalist as well. I've always had a fondness for the way that she conducts her interviews well. She's an intelligent girl.
Events that have happened since the release of the Oldham report. So the Oldham report is a report that investigated child sexual exploitation in Oldham. Now this was released a few months ago. In June there was an extraordinary council meeting, and then on the 13th of July there was another meeting in which the Failsworth Independent Party tabled a motion calling for a full public inquiry. This was amended by the Labour Party and it removed the section calling for the public inquiry, which was later approved, so it's essentially quashed any hopes of achieving a public inquiry through this route. Now, for many years, people have been accusing not just Greater Manchester Police, Oldham Council, social services in that area of covering up the grooming, but people have been doing so nationally, and many documentaries, many reports have come out which support those allegations. Interestingly, in the Oldham report, they could not stress enough high-profile individuals such as Stephen Watson, Amanda Chatterton, etc., that it was not a cover-up. It was not a cover-up. There was no finding of a cover-up.
We've been provided with no evidence to support the allegations circulated.
It was a cover-up, and it's been covered up and facilitated by the Labour Party
on social media
and the Conservatives. So that's why I wouldn't be voting for either one of these scumbags. Oh, and the Liberals and the Greens and the SNP.
To suggest that senior managers or councillors sought to cover up either the existence of child sexual exploitation in Oldham or the complexity involved in tackling the perpetrators.
The report quite clearly states there was no cover-up. Has found no evidence that CSE was covered up in Oldham. Perceived cover-up between Oldham Council and Greater Manchester Police, but it absolutely puts to bed that no politician and no officer of Greater Manchester Police or officer of the council was involved in any kind of cover-up.
It was definitely a cover-up.
It does read like a cover-up.
It does read like a cover-up.
The report states very clearly there was no cover-up of CSE.
In fact, there was only failings. Shock horror, a public authority investigates a public authority and it finds no evidence.
Yeah, there has to be a different way of doing that. That they can't investigate themselves. That's ridiculous. Oh, I didn't do anything. No, did you not? No, I didn't do anything. No. Oh, well, yeah, I agree with you. Didn't do anything. No.
Who would have ever thought that? They would rather give token findings of negligence than admit to covering up these crimes, because quite frankly it's better to be incompetent than it is to be evil, which you would have to be to cover up such crime. So how have they responded since all of this? How have they responded since the report? How have they responded since they've seen the public's anger? How have they responded since the likes of the Operation Augusta report, in which it clearly states that Greater Manchester Police and social services knew the extent of the crimes, the names of the offenders and their addresses, but they actually purposely chose not to pursue these crimes and instructed those beneath them not to do so as well? Well, they've done so by putting up or leaving up quite literal screens between themselves and the public. Amanda Chatterton goes on to talk about how grooming hasn't ruined certain people's lives, so you can't always say that it ruins lives.
Since the publication of that report 2 weeks ago, I've spoke to a number of victims and they came forward and ran me that week. The victims that were referenced in the report, but also other victims of CSE in Oldham, and speaking to those people and how it has affected their lives, and you can't say it's destroyed their lives, because the people I spoke to, it hasn't, but it has had an impact into adulthood on other things.
And now they've responded by accusing at least 3 attendees of the council meeting of engaging in antisocial behaviour, banning them for 12 months, threatening them with court orders, injunctions, and reporting them to Greater Manchester Police. Now,
they'll probably do more about those than they would do about the Muslim rape gangs. Muslim child rape gangs. Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's just a clown world.
People keep referring to these letters as ASBOs. I've seen lots of people talking about ASBOs. I've seen GB News referring to ASBOs. We don't have ASBOs here anymore. We haven't done for nearly a decade. They still use them in Scotland. We now have CPNs, civil injunctions, and CBOs. So in these letters, they warn the residents under the Antisocial Behaviour Crime and Policing Act 2014, and they also, in this letter, threaten them with an injunction, highlighting that a court can make any order it wishes to make using its discretion under the civil procedure rules, and that they may make an order to ban them forever, which sounds more like they're saying that's the order that they would seek. So I'm now going to read the letter to you, but I will put a timestamp below if you want to fast forward. During the full council meeting on the 27th of June and the 13th of July, which we are aware you attended, one or both of, there were significant concerns raised regarding the behaviour of some individuals.
Not concerns over the Muslim rape gangs. No.
Present. These behaviours included, but were not limited to, verbal abuse and foul language directed to elected members and local authority staff, threatening and aggressive behaviour towards elected members and local authority staff, disruptive behaviour including preventing individuals from answering questions or providing statements to the meeting by constantly shouting over them, thereby reducing the effectiveness of the meeting, preventing it from being run in a fair and democratic manner. Throwing of missiles during the meeting.
Scuds.
You were identified as engaging in the following behaviour: intentionally or recklessly causing a public nuisance, interfering with the fire safety alarm system, verbally abusing staff, including stating to a staff member that they were a bastard, a twat, a fucking waste of space. Also, you stated...
That's a Labour Party for you, though.
You are just like the other wankers in this room. Time you are all cooled, as you do not deserve jobs working here. End quote. The local authority welcomes and